In today's video, we're going to pick one of these van lock padlocks. Now, these are quite rare in the UK, but my mate LockChuck acted as an intermediary so I could get my sticky bits on some of these padlocks to practice with. So Van Lock is the name of the company. These aren't specifically for locking up vans. But Van Locks, as far as I know, all of their locks come with this unusual core. And there's the key for it. Now, these are essentially tubular locks. You're probably more familiar with a lock that looks something like that. But it's just a slightly different style of lock. So you've got a corresponding key there with, the pins in the key are at different heights. And when that's pushed into the correct lock and turned 90 degrees, then we should be able to get it open. So to pick it, what we need to do is to press down those pins, similar to what you would do on a tubular lock. But these van locks are a little bit more tricky to pick because tension in them is a problem. This outer ring with those two notches, that sort of silver outer ring, I thought initially you could tension off those notches, but that section doesn't move. It's just the brass section that moves. So tension in them can be a little bit of a problem. So what I've done is I've made these little tensioners. I've got two of them because it's kind of necessary to swap between the two of them, I found, and they've got like a 90-degree return on them. And I'm going to use those to pick up these holes here. And hopefully we should be able to get one of these picked. So I think what we'll do is grab that one there. We'll pop you in a vise. Not you, pop the lock in a vise. And then get you a good view. I'll probably zoom you in a little bit. There you go, you can see a bit better what's going on. So I've got my tensioners and I've got my probe tool that I'm going to use to press down these pins. So I think we'll just start at the bottom, put clockwise turning force on. I don't want to press this down too far because we don't, if these pins are zero set, then none of these pins will bind and we're not going to get very far, so I might have to swap. So you just got to start somewhere. I've got a little bit of a binder pin there. So the pins in this, I believe, are tapered. And I found you've got to put some quite heavy tension on and just keep going around pressing the pins because I've got a positive click there on this pin, and this pin. But you'll find that sometimes they take a little extra nudge, so that one's binding there. So what I'm going to do now is swap tensioners. I'll put the tensioner in those two holes there. Apply heavy tension again, and that pin's binding, as is that one. So those two are quite deep set, I think. Little click there, and there. So a very slight turn of the core then. But I'm just going to keep on going around, a little bit of resistance on that pin. So nice heavy tension, and just, keep on going around. I've got another little click off that pin. So I think they are tapered because you have to keep nudging them just a little at a time to keep them moving. Let's switch back to these first two holes. Keep that heavy tension on. Little click there. Nothing else. I think we'll switch back to this tensioner up here. Little click on that one. Oh, and there we go. So we've got a turn of the core, but this padlock is not open. As you can see, the shackle's not open because we've got to pick it two positions. So it's a little bit tedious, but this position here is now blocked. And obviously there isn't one here, so hopefully this time we shouldn't have to pick all of the pins. So you've got 7 pins in total, so now we should just be picking 6 pins. So much like with normal standard tubular locks, like that one there, they're not too difficult to pick, but it's down to tensioning, and it's down to having to pick it multiple times to get it open. Right, lots of little clicks here. switch tensioners. As you can appreciate, when you're having to switch tensioners so often, it's quite easy to let go of the tension and be back to sort of where you started from. So I don't need to pick that one, even though I did try and pick it a minute ago. A little bit of movement on the core, so there we go. I think we're close, and I think this lock has been picked. Let's just zoom, oh, not zoom you in, zoom you out. There we go. We got that one open. Although we managed to get this one picked open, to get it closed again, or at least to get it in the locked position, as you can see, it's still unlocked. I'd need to do the reverse of what I've just done. So essentially, tension it counterclockwise and pick through those pins to positions again. I'm not going to do that on camera because it's a little bit tedious, and it is just the reverse of what I've done to get it picked open. So yeah, not too tricky to pick. You do have to deal with those tapered pins. You do have to give each of those pins several clicks. I think the biggest battle picking these van locks is finding a tensioner that fits, or at least fits well. I did find when I was first picking them, these are the second generation tensioners. The first generation tensioners didn't have as sharp a return on it. And I found that as I was tensioning it, I'd be halfway through the pick and they would just slip out and I would be back to square one. So I think having that sort of sharp return, as you can see there, and a nice sharp tip on each of those prongs really makes a difference to grip that core. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.